Okay, and let's move over here so we, right. Okay, so one of the things we're doing is just, for example, standing one hand, could be right or left, okay? All right. Now, one thing we have here is we have a double ground connection, so, well, or even triple, because they got right, left ground. Now I have even a third ground point. Okay, now off of that, E is in motion. Okay, now what happens, we tend to react, we go upper, outer, but here, right? And notice how you've got feet. Your balance, you know, I mean, we're talking about ground. Obviously starts with your feet, but you're adding a third point. The upper, outer, deeper, more interior. Okay, so what I thought we'd do here is just right about here, for example. Now you can go either way, you know, right or left, but you can also go either way this way. Upper, outer, reactive. More open, more deeper inner as opposed to upper outer. You know? And now, for example, if he pulls it back because he doesn't want to do that, then he may also bring in more than he thought. So there's an area where there's a Marshall stance, which you don't want to just drift around in. But you also don't want to get too caught up in getting somebody or winning if he's coming in this direction. So the same principle without the stick. It's just the fact that you have a certain balance with yourself. You know, somebody's coming in. It's like, well, that's cool. Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to pair up, work this side, this side. All right. So let's start with that one. Okay. 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 Now let's do this. Okay. So we come over here. So let's just now what we're going to do this motion, we're going to add. Now I can do the first part well, right? This is good, and this now. Same thing. Okay? Maybe you're a healer, be solid, and you got somebody who's resisting your healing. First thing you got to do is somehow, how do you deal with that resistance? Because if they're fighting you, you're trying to fix them, and you're fighting them, you got to remember who you are. So again, there's upper, outer, reactive. There's deeper, interior, more empathic. You get what I'm saying a little bit? Okay, all right. I'm here to help you. That feeling, that's a lot of what O-Sensei was talking about when he was really talking about Aikido being love, right? You're going to run into people you absolutely despise or despise you, right? What would happen if, we're called Californians, we ran into our former president? There'd be all this, and somehow to just be able to say, okay, this is, even though it's pretty fouled up, this is a human being. I'm not going to get caught up in that. I don't also have to necessarily buy a lot of lies. Okay, but I don't want to be somebody, and I go that way back. All right. Okay. So one of the things, if we kind of go, we're going this way. The reaction. Outer, upper, react. Deeper, more interior, more empathic. Well, we can go the other way, which is this one. Doesn't really matter what it is. All right? Mr. Former President, lies eventually come back to the person who told them. Okay? So we're going to add the hand. Now, there's no particular, I'm going to say, okay, we're going to do right, left. All right? I have a free hand. Reach out there, a deeper, more interior, more empathic place. If you're a healer, you might get the most despicable person on the world. You might get Adolf Hitler. If you're a healer, you're coming from a deeper level of yourself, right? And the world can seem like it's just really polarized and rigid. But we don't have to lose our empathy, you see, right? So if you, well, I'm not sure the Giants are going to suck this year. It's been a nice, pleasant surprise. You see that feeling a little bit like that when you're more open. There are the things that start to. Well, there's a certainty. I mean, nothing is that certain, except our job is to get deeper, more interior, and more empathic. Doesn't mean we're asleep. Doesn't mean that we have to believe lies. I really feel sorry that you have to lie to feel that way about yourself. I'm sorry. You don't have to buy into something. All we have to do is go a little deeper, a bit more interior. And the empathic, right? Your energy, your partner's energy start to kind of merge together, don't they? And you could be waiting for millennia for certain people to get it, but you're okay. Okay, that's a tough one. So let's add the hand. You can go this way or you can go this way. Okay, it doesn't matter. What matters is our place, where we're coming from. Okay, so let's go. Right. Okay, just a couple of things, you know. Okay, for example, here, if I'm too quick out here, or the other extreme is being too sleepy. So standing, right? Okay, I'm too quick to label. You may not get a result on that first one. So the empathy is kind of an attitude, a deeper place within ourselves that I think Osensei wanted us to get to, right? Because there's your energy and your partner's energy. And you know, we gotta work better together, but we have these issues. Okay. But what we're really trying to do is to develop that place within ourselves. Because when I'm up for outer, I'm reactive. Now, a lot of times, you know, let's just say I start to do this, but I go upper, outer, which oftentimes gets me more spiritual. But, you know, I can be kind of like that, and all of a sudden I'm walking. I don't see, you know, mm, mm, mm. So you may have seen a right, right, Riminoge in that motion. Okay. Yeah, you've got to deal with things, and there are realities like bills and responsibilities and everything. But you know, the other thing right here is okay. The ability to actually work together with somebody means that there's also work going on in this system. You see what I mean? And sometimes, you know, I mean, I thought for sure the Giants were going to suck this year. I really did, you know. And it's like I just followed it on my phone. I never really watched the game. See, these guys are doing better than I thought. Oh my God, they got the best record in baseball. Yeah, but when they play the Dodgers, they suck. All of a sudden, oh my God, we beat the Dodgers 3 straight. What's going on here? Well, the sports are kind of not good because it's like, okay, I'll tell you one thing, winning is fun. Winning is fun. That's why we win. Good. Stomp those Dodgers. Glad the Lakers are out. Yeah. Clippers are gonna fold again. That's all fun. Okay. But the fact is when you're keeping score out there, you're maybe not keeping score in here. Okay. I'm sorry if it's coming in. It's a lot of permutations that are possible when we cross that boundary that's just like a me, you, and all of a sudden a more empathic state, there's us. Okay? See what I mean? Yeah. And so, you know, you can win out there and lose in here. So in a sense, I was really saying, you know, true victory, the winning out there is fun. And then it's addictive. Now I got to create big lies. I didn't really lose. I got 70 million votes. No way I could have lost. Hey, this is the whole thing is fixed. And yeah, right. And we could say, yeah, you're creating a lot of trouble. On the other hand, somebody that fouled up Donald, maybe if you'd had better parents. Yeah, I know you're creating a lot of misery and hate. I don't have to get caught up in it. And I also don't have to fall asleep and pretend you don't exist. You see? So it's really you're cognizant of the reality, which is sometimes you got to deal with the world that is increasingly sometimes very crazy. On the other hand, there's an interior development victory. And so, I mean, I'm kind of watching Ellis came back. And one of the things is that, a lot of the meds, for example, she was taking were just anti-anxiety meds. And so, that you want them? Probably not. On the other hand, if you're dealing with cancer and post chemo, do you need them? Maybe you ought to consider. You see what I mean? There's a point where you're like, okay. But, you just want to kind of say, well, you want to be a little more even. Yeah, if you need them, take them. No, you don't need them. I'll heal you with my tea. I don't think it's going to work. let's bring Sensei in. He'll heal you. Well, I don't know that it works that way. All right. Okay. So on the other hand, there's a reality, but there's also what we bring to the table. And I think Sensei's genius. He found out by working in here, there was a way where everything went to harmony out there, which, is different than winning. Win! Okay. But losing here, I'm not sure that if you really told Steph Curry, okay, I'm gonna give you a magic wish where you could win forever and everybody else would be just dust and you'll be the eternal NBA champ and did that. I don't think he would take it because he was like, no, that's not right. There are probably other guys that would. Right? No. Because the interior victory, and that includes like the floating bridge Sensei was talking about probably was one of the major things, right, is empathy. Okay. And without that empathy, in other words, you come in here and then all of a sudden he's solid, he's a trumper. And darn it, I'm sitting at his table with a Trump person. Okay. Yeah, you see what I mean? And it could be your brother, it could be a member of your family. And I'm not saying that I'm just using an extreme case because we're all from California. Okay, so if you're not offending you, okay, I'm just putting it on the table. Right? Because it's not about who you believe in and who you don't. It really is about it. Okay. But what we're working at, well, yeah, I just won. Or ha ha ha, I won. See that's addictive and it's fun at first. But you can win so much that you're losing the real battle. That's what Sensei said, it's winning over yourself. True winning is winning over yourself. But then he said there's this speed that transcends time and space. It's really talking about empathic being. Somebody's coming in to say, okay, their motives for coming at you and holding that stance, but I don't have to freeze here, nor do I have to run because I don't like listening to the politics. Okay, I'm not going to change you, but good. Now we'll meet again and maybe things will be a little different. Yeah, maybe they're the same. I don't have to go down that thing where I got to fix you. But on the other hand, maybe if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing well enough, there is an effect. Not that you do it to affect that. There's a point where, I want so-and-so to lose. Yeah, I mean, the playoffs, just watching. I really want certain teams to go down in flames. You just hold that. But that's part of the fun of it. And if you get too terribly into, so-and-so won, I just really want to see the Clippers go. It's just for no rational reason. Okay? You know, there's no rational reason. It's just part of the fun. But when you get a little too like that, if I could make a magic wish so they would lose, would I do it? No, because I'd be altering the timelines a little too much. Okay. Okay. So well, now we get under and we get over. Okay. So what we're going to do right here. Now he's solid. Okay. Yeah, he's solid. But there's a candy drop. Don't you want some candy? Yeah. See, what you're doing a little bit is not freezing and starting to play his game. He wants me to stop, react, and then we're both up here out there, and he wants to win or feel good about it. Some people just want to create chaos. They just really want to, they just want to, and then it's fun for them. I took you down. Okay, so be very easy there. So I'm going the right side, all right? Now the point is right here. There's an over move and there's an under move. Okay, now if he's pushing down, there's that boom, that under move is better. If he's pushing down, all right, you may have to alter your approach, but so it's very flexible. Okay, so if we say there's an under move, I'm moving to my right, with a little bit of a turn. You may be solid there. Okay. You may be solid there. There's a roadblock out there, but there's a real roadblock in my mind and spirit. So whatever he's doing out there, yeah. Okay. Now this is the upper movement. Okay, so we're going to move. It's a basic freer version of your basic blend. Okay, the next time somebody grabs your wrist and you go into old tapes, you realize, we play act just so we actually learn to get to that empathic place. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, we got a couple of people coming in. Good. Okay, let's go. Yeah. Okay, now this is what we started out with, aren't you? Okay, so somebody coming in here, we just started out with that motion. Okay, well, you can go either way. Now, one of the things here, if I react, I can. So we're just, one thing you have here, you have your ground, but you have this point here. So you actually are doubling up the ground, aren't you? Now, upper, outer, deeper, more inner. Includes more fluidity in your hips. Your vision is less, like you're looking for something that's going to obstruct you, and more like you're free and easy, okay? So if you're coming in this direction, then what we're doing, the second I go upward and outer, I create a duality. Right? And what we're playing with a little bit, this is upper outer, this deeper inner, okay? Upper outer, deeper inner. And the deeper inner is more of an empathic place. In other words, you're not giving in to something out there, but you're also not fighting it. We're trying to work on some sort of balance here. Empathy without balance is insanity. You wind up giving somebody with poison the license to poison everybody, including you. So, just once you start with that one, because they're a little further along, but we'll pull everybody on pretty quick, okay? So one of the three of you go. Yeah, sometimes, what happens is we're flying blind. I believe in love and harmony, but darn, there are so many weird people in the world. Yeah, when I'm reacting to the weird people, I'm weird too. Isn't that strange? Yeah. I hate the Dodgers. Well, probably Dodger fans hate the Giants. So, So, we're both, yeah, that's called fun. We're allowed it as long as we don't let it corrupt us, right? Good. It's been years of Giants post the World Series run where they've been awful. So enjoy it. Yeah. So one of the things here, so for over here, and so if you're coming in this direction, in fact, if both of you are coming in this direction, then in some sense we're over. We're because if I, certain situations are more complex. If I get so drawn into the complexity of it, I can't see the forest for the trees, right? And so, part of that empathic state means I got to stay pretty clear. And you're allowed your, turn. Where's got screwed? Yeah. Look at LeBron. He made one shot he would probably never make. Because Steph was standing, giving him his energy, so he makes a Steph Curry shot. Okay, so all right. Other than that, we're in the playoffs, and you're playing so well. We probably, but on the other hand, it didn't happen. We got a lottery cake. We don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be easy. Easy, or else you'll jump. Should we trade for Ben Simmons? I don't know. Then we got to get another star, yes, or draft another star, yes, or. But be very, very easy there. It's all a game. Unless you're Bob Myers or Stephen Curry, then it's still a game, but it's a little bit more like just stay in that deeper, more empathic place. Yeah. Is it that feeling a little bit like there? I mean, in a lot of ways, if you're a winner, one of the ways that you are a winner is how you handle defeat. Everybody loses. And you're going to win out there, we're going to lose out there. But what we don't want to lose is the interior. You say, that's so sensei's true victory, right? Doesn't mean you win out there all the time. It's just that, you're whatever win or lose out there, there's a development here. And then, there's more of an empathic state, right? I got to admit, Kawhi Leonard is a damn good player. And boy, that stupid Kyrie, he can play. And I was actually looking forward to Brooklyn, because I would root for Durant because he used to be a Warrior, but on the other hand, I could root for Harden, who's a villain. I could root for Kyrie. I said, boy, this is going to be fun. I actually get to root for these guys, but Nets. Then they flame out, But that's just the nature of it. I mean, a quarter inch and Durant wins that game. Okay, so you don't pay attention to that. Do your best out there. And, the ledger will, there's winning and losing out there. You don't want to lose the interior battle. Okay? Okay, now what we're going to do here is let's just go to the right. Okay, we're going here. All right. Now what we're doing is now right here, for example, I have a clear vision, but I'm running into the stubbornness of the world. Okay. Now sometimes that world, you're not going to necessarily move, but you don't stop. And we're saying right here, there's a motion that goes under and there's a motion that goes over. Now, if you run into weight or something, right, it's a really stupid world. And when we're reacting to it, we're stupid too. So you got two moves, an under move and an over move. So if we're coming in this direction, then I'm adding my other hand, but see that there's this motion and there's also this move. Okay? So we're kind of coming this way. It's like there's an under move and there's an over move. Now, see, I'm trying to win out there. See, what is empathy? Empathy means that you and your partner are both feeling somewhat the same thing, right? I mean, you know, Sensei's big thing, Aikido, is love, right? But it could be phrased better. Aikido is empathy. Without empathy, the love is very personal, which of course we're entitled to, okay? You have our likes, dislikes, our needs, whatever it is. But the interior, deeper game is getting to that place. See, fire burns water off, water extinguishes fire. Fire ignites the empathy in water. Water ignites the empathy in fire. Even though they're polar opposites, all of a sudden, there's a unity there. Okay, so part of what we're trying to do is uke nage nage uke, like fire water. Okay, so again, you know, you started out a little bit this way, and you know, I'm up here out there. My motion starts from my shoulder and it starts real fast. Right, it starts fast and locks up. Yeah, you can speed up, but it starts with that feeling of empathy, which is never rushed. It's never rushed. The situation may be fast, and we might be confused, but we try to settle to that place where we're kind of in a very, very positive way, feeling all angles, not just for our own personal benefit. You know what I mean? Yeah, I want to win. Yeah, that's okay. But so we're just starting to move in a way that then the Aikido that I think Sensei was talking about. It's so easy to, you know, you can have a lot of fun doing people or getting better. That's good, you know. All right. Or here, for example, we go this way. Yeah. And we have this motion. Right. You can win the short-term battle and lose the long-term battle. Right. All right. The whole planet were one field of empathy, then this would be a beautiful world. You know, that's what he was talking about. One family, right? He was really talking about an empathic field that included everybody, and everybody was choosing to win over themselves to be part of this field. And all of a sudden, we have a really wonderful, wonderful thing here, right? The heaven on earth, you know, one of his basic sayings, right? So add that the turn, and then right here, I'm adding the other hand. You can go under or over, it doesn't matter, right? To go the other way, for example, like here, it's a little harder, but you know, now if all of a sudden it's stronger there, see, sometimes, you know, you've got a pretty clear vision, all of a sudden the world starts to be kind of heavy. Light understands heavy, heavy starts to be empathic towards what's light, and you have a unity. It's alive, it's in motion, it's constantly redefining itself, but you know, that's kind of, I think, his vision for what Aikido was supposed to be. You see what I mean? That would be my sense of what his Aikido was like. We say his because he happened to be male, but you know, he told he used to tell people women get this a lot quicker than guys because guys get caught up in a lot of real superficial things like winning. And almost any movement following that. Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. If those three don't work, oh, that angle. So that area, it's hard to do that when I'm trying to win. Okay. And is it fun? Yeah, it's fun, but it's fun in a different direction, different dimension. Okay. All right. So add the turn. Yeah. 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 No. Mm. Hello. Okay. All right. Let's everybody move in a bit. Okay. Let's again line up over here. Okay. Socially, I mean, there's so much about opening, which is important. That's nice, but there's also, you know, um, yeah. One of the things that we're kind of discussing empathy. Okay. And one of the things we're, I guess, is that we're supposed to talk a lot about love. Okay. But what he might have been really talking about is an empathic sense. Because when there's an empathic connection, there's a unity. Okay. Now, martially, for example, here, it's like, he's going to attack. Okay? Yeah. Okay, now he's solid here. There are holes. Well, here. There's rhythms within that. They're workable. Okay. And I can learn all that stuff, by getting, and I get better at it. Then you kind of become a version of Takeda and Daito Ryu. Daito Ryu, the actual physical body of Aikido is largely Daito Ryu. Daito Ryu works energy. Yeah, works ki. Now, since they learned a lot from Takeda, but what made the most sense that was mainly what he learned from Deguchi and the Omoto Kyo. And I'm almost certain that, one of the major lessons that Deguchi Sensei was imparting was, there was the lesson of empathy, is winning over yourself. Okay. All right. And, we get satisfied with relative victories, but basically, winning over yourself is the game. And winning over yourself, this, I want to win for this reason. Okay. I want to develop in a true direction. Empathy can extend towards the planet, the environment, the economics. Okay. And one of the things is, what are those things they say? It says, where if you really kind of call things good and evil, it says, all of a sudden you're on the wrong track. Like, it didn't mean that he wanted evil to win, but there's an area where there's a sense where the empathy, really extending that direction is hard, because we have our political beliefs, our spiritual beliefs. If you really are, like a sports fan, you have your favorite team and the teams you root against. But that's part of the fun of it. You know what I mean? But the deeper interior development is something that is very different. Okay? So, one of the things Sensei talks about is fire, water. Okay? The fire burns water off. Water extinguishes fire. But if water extends an empathic state to fire, and fire extends back an empathic state to water, water and fire, we seem to be opposites, exist as a unity within the field of that empathy. And if you're standing there like he did, you're not in the fire, you're not in the water. You're standing on that empathic bridge that after then activates fire, fire then activates water, and you're kind of standing right there in that empathic connection. Okay? And so I'm a fan of fire. Okay, it's allowed. I really want the Giants to win. I want the Warriors to win. I'm giving up NFL football because of Colin Kaepernick. So I don't care about whether the 49ers or whatever it is. But I have my quirks. But the larger game is saying, okay, you're allowed your idiosyncrasies, turn it. And you're able to clear, the game is deeper, more interior, not upper or reactive. Just, if I'm upper reactive, I really want to win because it's fun. And then it becomes an obsession. And then it becomes, that was that winning isn't, what is that crazy line that Ben Bari said? It was winning isn't everything. It was like winning isn't the only thing. Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. And if you take it from a different viewpoint, then if you substitute that more empathic sense, then he's correct. Yeah. We fractionate everything, on here. But the universe itself maybe has a perfect empathic balance between its fire, water, and its heaven and earth. And there we are, slicing everything up to right here where we have our judgments and and then we're trying to, we're trying to win. Yes, good. But I think Sensei went the other way. As he went deeper, more interior, his sense of the empathic nature of things increased, where all of a sudden that empathic nature included the universe, its functioning, its design. And, he used the word love a lot. But, love as we see it is very personal. And that's allowed, right? Empathy is I think, what he really meant. You have an empathic connection. And through that, there's a different level of love, okay? like, essentially talked about kamino I, that more divine love is that empathic sense. And we all fall short. So, the game is starting to work from a deeper, more interior place where we bring that empathic connection more into reality here. Not just, okay, I read this book, I'm really turned on and the world sucks. Okay. So there's you. There's also expanding that out, and then that expansion comes back into you. And then it percolates there, then it expands out, ever deeper, ever more interior. And therefore, it's, the outer makes it not just an inner practice for yourself, but it also, so, since it was talking about kami, fire, water, I think he was talking about the empathic sense, standing on the floating bridge of heaven. I think he was talking about that. If I use the word love, it tends to short circuit because my own sense of it is very personal. But when I substitute the word empathy for love, then, our 45th president is great practice. I don't love that guy at all. And you may like him, you may love him. I'm talking about a personal thing, okay? But being able to extend that empathy, well, since I said when you label things good and evil, you're down the right path. Yeah, there's there's this and there's that, and there's that empathic sense. And so if how we deal kind of with the opposition to our particular personal stuff is a lot of our measure of, how we're dealing with, the interior, deeper battle. And winning there is oftentimes, it's not so clear, except at some point, I think we hopefully look around at ourselves and say, there's been growth here. And in that growth, there's more inclusiveness, and that inclusiveness, fun is redefined. We all want to have fun. That's why we're here. Aikido was a lot of fun. Okay. For Aikido, what did I have? I had basketball and I had music. I still got basketball and music, but there's just now. Okay. You're allowed other stuff. And you're allowed political beliefs to be totally the opposite of mine. Okay. All right. So if we're here, then we're going to quicker movement. For example, there's that motion, but there's this motion and that motion. And then you begin to see there's Aikido shapes and forms. If all you want to do is word and smash meditation, you're in the wrong place. But what's going to come right there? The empathic field is one of the best things you can have going martially, because you begin to feel what your partner is doing. In a martial sense, I think what Sensei was so good, he knew what was going to come next before next even was around the corner. He was that good, apparently. Okay. According to the story I heard, there was a guy, who was an Aikido teacher in Hawaii. And O-sensei was visiting Hawaii, and he said, oh, so-and-so, go take them out for a walk. So they're walking at the beach, which, of course, if you're in Hawaii and all you're going to do is spend the time in a dojo, that's kind of stupid. All right. Well, right in the middle of the walk, he starts to think, well, maybe I could get him now. And I think O-sensei kind of looked at him as if, he was picking up that this guy was thinking something that maybe he should pay attention to. And the second he looked at him that way, the guy just fell down. He was thrown. So that there's well, I'll do it if I get some power. Why do I want power? I want to win. But that redefines power. That was a great lesson for that guy. Just wow, it's even the thought I get this karma back. It wasn't that he was evil, he did an evil act or anything. It was just so Sensei was so good. I don't even know that was his conscious mind. It was just the fact he was so one with that empathic sense with the universe that every sub system, whether it was him and this guy on a walk, and this guy says, I think I'm going to get you. And apparently there was another case where, somebody's supposed to, if you're a Sensei, you never go anywhere alone. I'm sure he probably thought, I wish these people would get off of this kid. But he goes to the bathroom, so one of his deshis got to accompany him to the bathroom. He's sitting on the bathroom, and all of a sudden the deshi starts to think, I could probably get him here. And so the second he thinks that, Bado Sensei kind of looks and says, there's somebody thinking bad thoughts around me right now. You see what I mean? And it's, so we tend to think, well, this empathy junk, this is about when you got a chance to you take your best shot and take the person out. Of course, that's not necessarily the best thing. If you're the UK, somebody wants to take you out just to prove themselves they won. And here they don't get a trophy at all, do they? They don't get a marker like Ming wiped out Harry. She is our star for the week. We don't get that. In fact, if you do that, chances are there's some severe disciplinary stuff happening. Because as UK, you are opening yourself up. So if somebody just wants to go like that, well, guess what? Now, the empathic sense says that, when somebody does that, you're on the floor already, so you don't give them that shot. But that takes a lot of practice. Okay? I used to have to work with this guy who just liked to give you a bloody nose. And, you'd always walk into one. And, and what if his deshi would come up and he had this medicine kit. It was the best medicine kit in the whole area. And I remember my last class my first class in that area was this guy. And I walked into that. Bloody nose, da, 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 da. And that last class, it was interesting. Mary was there. And he couldn't get me. When he came there, and it was not, it was just, it's okay. I sort of know your tricks now. I know what you're going to do when you're going to do it. Okay. And, the other thing he would do is, he would put his head down on Irimi Nage. And, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to give him a bloody nose back. That's what you got to do. And then, when you're kind of stymied with that, then he would kind of whip underneath the hip throw. And so what happened there is he would do that. And then when he would whip under for the hip throw, that I'd be grounded enough that he couldn't budge me. And there was the two of us right in the middle. And everybody else was watching us. And it was kind of like, okay, what's going to happen next? And then after a certain amount, I made my point. It's his dojo. And then I take the fall. And every single time he would go into, he could have blocked me on that move, which you're not supposed to do. That was just strictly for him. It's like, okay, the time for you to leave the Shaolin temple is when you bloody me up. And it was a game I said, that's kind of too limiting. And so, it's a point where I just never crossed that line. Right. But that was his rite of passage. But afterwards, what was kind of interesting, the other thing he was doing, he would do Shihonage, and he would put the wrist out here, and then he was about 4'8", and he would drop and put your wrist on the ground. And that would be like this murderous high fall. But the second he went to do that, I would elevate out of it and float down to the mat. And so finally, after it's all over, he takes me out to dinner and says, you've gotten pretty good. And he says, you don't understand anything, but you've gotten better, which means I couldn't nail you. That was my last class in that area. And he was kind of doing the same thing with Mary. And we walked out of there thinking, boy, this was a teaching experience. Because, there's an area, where Zuke, you're not supposed to lock people out, but you're also not supposed to put yourself in a vulnerable situation. But it takes a lot of skill, and that's not anything I could do on demand. It was just for whatever reason, I was in a space where I knew what he was going to do before he did it because I felt it before. And I had a type of an empathic sense of when to move so he couldn't hurt me. And he noticed it and went, wow, what's this? Yeah, okay. Maybe it is time for you to leave. He snatched the pebble from my hand, even though you don't understand it. That's what he told me. He said, you don't understand any of this stuff, but you've gotten better. I said, okay, because the lesson is about the fact that you sort of acquire a sense martially what the person is going to do. Because you're feeling their system in a way that you're not doing it to beat them. Okay? Like, it was kind of, it was a little bit like standing up to the bully. When he was, he would just block you, then he'd whip under and throw you over his hip. And it was all of a sudden, I was right here and he was under there straining, and I was like, yeah. I say, okay, yeah. Because, gotta let him save face. It's his dojo. Right? So, those are just a couple of things about empathy. Do I love him? No. He tends to be a little bit of a tyrant. He's running the Shinker school into the ground, being the chief instructor now. But on the other hand, I kind of understand him. And I choose, the way I would interact with him. And that's that culture. You don't cause anybody to lose face. But you also don't let them trash you. All right. And so, the empathic sense, that we're talking about is, if the whole world could unite to one empathic field, we would reverse the damage to the environment. We get rid of economic inequality, gender inequality, racial prejudice inequality, and we would walk the planet more like comic gods and goddesses. And that was O-sensei's dream. And so if we realize that, then our training starts to acquire a different dimension. There's a martial sense to it, but we're not supposed to come here and hurt each other. And, the ultimate lesson he's teaching is actually quite a very important martial skill. What would happen? He'd be an old man, but some MMA guy would come at him and go flying. We'd try to take him to the ground, and he would just stand there, and he was like trying to pull that tree down. And he'd probably TI and send about 8 feet, and they go, what was that? He was dimensionally so superior, even martially, even though a lot of his words you can take as being very, very passive, right? Empathy is not a passive state. We move out of it so quickly into our own ego that, it's a constant work. Okay? Now, one of the things we can do here, for example, is this motion, which is, very much like, we're going to go here, we're going to go here, we're going to go here. Okay? But this is, for example, this is the Nikyo change. This is the Ikkyo change. Yeah. This, for example, is Sankyo. Boom. Okay? Now I'm going to my left. Try it this way. Now for Ikkyo, right? Legs too stiff. Nikyo is easier. Sankyo, maybe you're a little late. we're doing the same body motion. Okay, so let's rotate, look at a different partner, and now we're going to do kind of weapon to weapon.
Yes, anything can happen when you really try. Shit, fuck it, staying high, sitting low, showing love, nigga, everywhere I go. So, nigga, no worries, nigga, honestly with me. Still in the game, getting paid on the way, nigga, smoking my way. Sit I'm high to the motherfucker. Ain't no mind to a motherfucker. On my grind like a motherfucker. The mind like a motherfucker.
Okay, let's change. Okay, we kind of changed the thing a little bit. So he's going to grip more like a sword. Okay, fine. And he's coming in with a showman motion. Okay. Now, one of the things right over there is looking at this thing. Again, there's a martial sense to it. Okay. In a lot of ways, if I'm looking too much to win, you see, it gets too tense. But if I get too spiritual, it's really the universe that I courage. God sent the coronavirus to purge the world of evil. That's evil. That's not the way to think. Okay. So what we're going to do, for example, he's in a very, very good ready position. Okay. And I'm back here. The one thing we're going to do. Now, one of the things, for example, is you sort of have to have that feeling, what it's like here. And then you say, I don't know if you researched how that feels, because I felt it. And that's different than you winning. You see what I mean? Well, for example, here, I've been under the gun here. Okay, boom. Okay. Someone's actions and my inaction and my unconscious behavior has led me to feel that. Now, you see what that feels like? Well, what you're doing is conveying a certain sense of some personal experience in ideally a non-harmful way to somebody who's coming at you with some energy. You know where that energy goes? Well, let me show you. This is where it goes. Yeah, we want to make it non-harmful, non-injurious. Oh, I got you. I smashed your skull when you wanted to get me. Well, right about here, for example, there's that much. It's a little bit more dicey because right about here, without the weapon, you can swerve. Yeah, right? But one of the things we can do is adapt it a little bit. So there are odd growths of it. But see, I'm in a big on position here. He's coming boom. See, what you're doing is you're presenting a very open experience. But and one of the things that happens is that you concentrate so much on the lower tenors. I want you to see how this opens the upper centers up. It's not just about, it's deeper, but the interior sense starts to integrate that. Your spiritual vision. Okay? Yeah, I might have my own personal quirks. I might want the Lakers to go down in flames, but I don't want people to die or anything. See what I mean? It's all allowable fun. And if I get a little too carried away with it, okay. Chances are the universe will send me a lesson. Okay? So from here, we're stepping with the back foot. That's the other thing. But there's a difference where we're So you see, we've experienced this. If we're able to convey that experience to the person who is attacking. And that means we're both part of an empathic field. And when we do that, we both win. There's a lesson being transmitted, and we can trade roles, and I can begin to learn that lesson more deeply. Okay? So let's change partners. All right? Okay, let's move on in just a bit. Okay. There's a question that came up with the Tai Chi. I think it was Lauren asked on about hands and eyes. Okay. And one of the things about it is what I said is that, you focus, but you don't fix. Okay. Which means that you look at your hands as they're moving with soft eyes. Okay. Now, the soft eye place is sort of connected to a more empathic sense. See, most people, when they focus, they fix on, okay? And when they fix on, they're out of that empathic field. For example, here, I'm fixing on the attack. Now I'm fixing on what I'm supposed to do. But right about here, for example, I'm fixing on his weight. One thing Sensei said is that matter is suffused with emptiness. Now, did he study quantum physics? I don't know. But literally everything is just subatomic particles moving in a vacuum, organizing itself. So by the time we're here, we look at it as matter. We're very complex because of biological matter. Okay? You start to study biological matter, you start to go into psychology. Okay, we're very complex. All right? But basically, we're all empty space with subatomic particles organizing themselves to create the appearance of who we are. And so, if somebody, for example, is here, there's weight, then all of a sudden there's all this emptiness right here. All right? And part of the empathic sense is that, one of the things is that we're in this really dense, stupid world where, politicians can't get along with each other. People run for high offices so that they can get a lot of attention and power. People that are just ordinary, which is really all of us, are being squeezed by economy and government and everything like that. And the people that claim to really represent them are in it for themselves. It's a horrible world. Okay? And so, you're not unconscious of that. But there's also this other thing going on that Osensei was kind of grounded in. But there's a harmony. There is this field that already exists. Okay? It already exists. It's just our consciousness every day is so polarized in a tight place. We get caught up in all this duality, all this. That, literally what the contradiction is, if we get back more to that field sense, we're healthier. We see solutions. Like I haven't really studied it, but apparently there's an infrastructure agreement. Great. Even if he gets somebody quote unquote evil to see the benefits of an act of good, you're creating a little bit of that field there, aren't you? All right. Okay. And so, the victory Osensei was talking about was when that field was something that was shared by all the consciousness on the planet. And that's why he created Aikido. And Aikido, is fun. It exists on a lot of different levels. But I think he created it so that we would, it's not, and if this field sense is there, there's a natural sense we get one another a little better. I just had this thing where Elle's come back and, she's been fed all these meds, and therefore, it's like, okay, now you're home. Well, okay. And, that's a transition. I said, look, I'm very conscious of the fact that this is really uncomfortable for you. As bad as all that stuff was, hospital and everything, it's a new place. You haven't seen it. You're kicked out of the old place the day you went in the hospital. Okay. So We got to be very easy with one another. Here, very easily, I can get totally bummed out. What? Oh my God, it's worse now. No, it's not. It's just different. Now I'm doing all the stuff the nurses and everything did. Yeah, I'll do a better job, actually. Okay. If we get Medi-Cal, which we're going to try to do, I can even get paid for the time I put there. Okay. You know, so I mean, you've got to keep your perspective. But then again, there's just that thing in the moment where you could either say bummer, or you can say, well, this is quite a challenge. You see? And I think I was just saying, why don't just do the latter as opposed to, well, screw this, you know, right? Oh my God, it's getting, yeah, I said, yeah, it's worse right now, but it's not going to stay worse. You know, whether that happens or not is dependent on you and me and the fact we communicate. And, you know, there's an area where last night I just realized, you know, it's like, okay, we got to talk more. Tell me how you feel. What can we do? Okay, you state how you feel. If you feel crappy, tell me. Okay, we'll deal with it. You know, I just got to be a better communicator as opposed to, okay, I'm going to be in a centered state and hopefully everything will work out. No, that's good too. But on the other hand, it doesn't necessarily, the empathic field says when there's turmoil out there, you are not drawn into it, but you recognize it and you complement it in a way that it goes more back towards the balance with itself. Okay, and that's it. And then, you know, what happens is that, you know, I mean, I would think if since there was, oops. Oh my God. Randy and class will call you back at 10, okay? Now don't see home. 1 o'clock. Okay, so we're kind of there. So you know the empathic sense that's a little bit of what we're working on. If we can read those senses, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Okay, and substitute the word empathy for love, love for empathy. I think we get a better sense of what he meant by love. Love tends to be kind of selfish, and we are entitled to it in our own way. But as we grow and become more empathic, our capacity to love obviously grows as we grow. So it's a win-win. Martially, we become sensitive enough to pick up what's going on out there. Okay? You know, so for me, it was like, okay, oh, yeah, I said something stupid. I'm not always this stupid. Let's start to talk. You see? And so, you know, you communication is key, and you speak to the level of the person's listening capacity. If somebody's on meds and they're starting to go through some withdrawal and stuff, then we'll deal with it. And I'm not going to say, you shouldn't be on that. I said, no, reality of it is you may need it right now. Let's work it out. So I grow. The situation gets better. I don't necessarily win. I got so off my back. Great. That's not the way you're supposed to be. Okay, that's also training. Okay, so we're going to bow out. Let's do that. Okay, thank you very much. We do have some news on, in fact, Nadeau Sensei called. Maybe he'll give me an update. But starting next month, probably after the 10th, as far as I know, we'll have a couple of classes slotted at Aikido of Mountain View. So Wednesday noon, and then the Sundays we're going to do over there. We can do it inside or we can keep it outside because there's a park. Okay. But we can go back more. You know, I think there's a whole thing that particular group has worked out in terms of we can go to more contact training inside. The nice thing about the mountain view school, they have one of those walls that kind of rolls up. You can kind of put the air in and everything like that. And so there's that. And I am in a certain amount of discussion with Professor Bunch to get a limited, not a full schedule, back at the Martha Street location. And I'm thinking that what I'd like to do mainly with that is the teens and kids. Okay. So we're going to be part of the reopening. Okay. I'll post everything a little bit more as it becomes a little easier to read what's going on. Professor Bunch is somebody who holds on to a lot of stuff. Okay. And it's like, you know,